28th. What are 5 things they can expect to get out of the gameplay?
Definitely the best storm chasing experience is on the simulation side that you can get. There's nothing that get closer to the experience on the atmospheric side there. We spend a lot of time recreating to like the dot, how like the formation of the cloud and the accuracy of the maps, all the timeline of a storm creates. So that's like the first big point on how like our game system works.
I'm James Brierton in Charlotte, and welcome to the Carolina Weather Group. We are very excited because the day is almost here where the Outbreak storm chasing video game will be available to play publicly on computers very, very soon. Joining us once again on the Carolina Weather Group is David and Mark, the developers of the Outbreak game. Gentlemen, welcome back to the Carolina Weather Group.
Thanks for having us.
It's good to see you guys. This is your final crunch time. June 28th,
Oh, yes.
I believe, is that date we
Yeah,
have
that's
all
correct.
long been waiting for. I know I hopped
Mm-hmm.
on the Kickstarter when it first was announced a couple years ago, and you guys have been working very hard to turn this game around. For anyone who hasn't seen your last 2 appearances on our podcast, what is your game and how would people be playing it?
So, Outbreak is a storm chasing simulator. Basically, what makes us very unique and what's our selling point basically is that we use actual model data and we integrate this into our game. So everything that you play, everything that's happening in the sky is accurate in a scientific standpoint. We're basically taking dates that we know severe weather happened and we resimulate it, and from that we create a bunch of storms that we can see in 3D and basically chase for fun in our video game.
You guys are kind of a dynamic duo because if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, you bring in a lot of the weather knowledge, and David, you bring in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the programming knowledge. So I don't know who this question goes to, but Mark, you said that there's a lot of real life weather events that have been programmed into the game. How did you guys go about getting a hold of that weather data and B, programming it into this virtual simulation?
First of all, David is more like the game design brain in our dynamic duo. I'm the weather nerd, but I'm also the weather nerd that turned into a programmer kind of thing. so
Sure.
so yeah, David is the big brain that takes my ideas and make them fun, basically. Because otherwise, it would be 8 hours of driving before seeing anything, and that would not be fun in a video game.
That's a real good check and balance. So you guys do kind
Yep.
of balance out really well. So David, let
Yeah.
me ask you this one then. So you've gate checked that there's not 8 hours of having to drive before we get there because I don't know about anybody else, but I'm lucky if I get like an hour to sit down and play a game. So it'd be good to see a little action. How big is the map? I understand it's fairly large.
Yeah, our map is 625 kilometers squared, so 25 kilometers by 25 kilometers. I don't have the miles conversion near me, but your listener can do the math
Yeah,
on their
the
side.
conversion is really big. I think that's
Yeah,
the
it's
answer.
very big. It's definitely one of the biggest map in the video game industry right now. It's about 5 times the map of Grand Theft Auto 5,
Wow.
for people that are very kind of knowledgeable about this.
388 square
Miles,
mile.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very, very large. Basically, we needed a world large enough to support large storms from birth to death. And we also wanted to make sure that your driving decision mattered. So if you
Yeah.
chased a storm cell and you didn't pick the right one, this one bus said the right storm is like further down south, then this decision made you actually lose valuable time. Choosing the right interstate, navigating through farmland and stuff like that will make you like possibly miss the tornado and stuff like that. So that's actually the real life experience that we're simulating. If like your driving time doesn't matter, then your chasing decision doesn't matter. So by creating this large world we're actually getting closer to a real simulation experience.
So let me ask you this. Your release date for Outbreak is June the 28th. It'll be available on Steam. When people sit down on June the 28th, what are 5 things they can expect to get out of the gameplay?
Definitely the best storm chasing experience is on the simulation side that you can get. There's nothing that get closer to the experience on the atmospheric side there. We spend a lot of time recreating to like the dot, how like the formation of the cloud and the accuracy of the maps, all the timeline of a storm creates. So that's like the first big point on how like our game system works. Something that we're very happy also is the customization of our cars and characters. It's a very big chunk of time we spent on making this very interesting for the players. So of course, like when you're interacting with the storm, you're documenting stuff, then the money/points you're getting out of this, you can purchase things, upgrade your cars and cosmetics around it to make it to your liking. So you're gonna get this. Third thing is the social aspect. So we're a multiplayer game. It's something that we really wanted to push a lot. Making multiplayer games is extremely hard, but we wanted to push through that because real life storm chasing is also a social experience. And we see that with like, chaser convergence and people sitting on side of the road, and like there's a big aspect of this. Maybe Mark can talk more about that because it's the chaser and not me. I'm just making games. But we wanted to push a lot on this and wanted Outbreak to be a lot of this, like people chasing together in an online game. So that's 3 big parts. I don't know, Mark, if you have more things to look forward to.
What to expect also comes with what's going to be improved over time. So when you first get Outbreak, there's going to be a bunch of stuff that's probably going to change. We're going to improve the looks of things. There's some visual stuff that sometimes look weird, but you very quickly forget it because that little bit of cloud that is noisy or whatever, you kind of don't think about it when you see everything going on and you're immersed into the world. But that's all things that we plan on working on. And we also gave for the release of the early access version, we gave a lot of options for players to play with their settings, basically to have the best possible performance. So that comes with sometimes it can look a little bit less impressive if you lower your settings, but that comes with it. And that's also part of basically the technology that we created for our clouds doesn't exist anywhere. It's something like, even like in flight simulators and things like that, the level of realism in what's going on in the sky in our game is extremely unique. So that means that everything we do is research and development. We work with a bunch of very talented people for that, but when it comes to performance, we can't just say, can you make it run better? They have to actually do research to make it run better. They already did really good work on it. We have some very good options here for people to have a good experience, but that's probably the thing that I want people to know. Like when they're going to get the game, you might have to tone down the visual quality if you want to have, depending on your computer, of course, but you might have to do that, and it will be explained and it will make sense for everyone.
Consistency and transparency in our communication, to follow up a little bit what Mark is saying. For the longest time in our development, we've been sharing the monthly development update, showing everything we're doing on our Trello development board. We're going to continue doing that post early access to show what we're working on. So the stuff that Mark is explaining, we already have the work planned on this, but we still want to improve the game post early access. We're gonna share like a timeline of what we're going to do post early access. We really want to we will continue to work on the game post early access and share everything we're doing after
Yeah,
the game.
there's gonna be a very clear roadmap as soon as we release the game, so you guys are gonna be able to just play, but also go see what they have in mind for the upcoming months, and then you're going to be able, as people were able to during our development process, they're going to be able to see where we're at for every point in the roadmap that we are going to release.
To your point, I'm kind of used to a roadmap where maybe once a quarter you're getting an update. But for anybody who's not familiar with that term, I think it might be good to set them an expectation on what early access is and a little bit of what that ongoing development cycle would be. Can you explain that?
Early access is basically you get access to the game before it's considered 100% complete, 1.0, you know. So it still acts as a game release because we think it's a viable product that people can enjoy. So that's why we decided to release it at this point. But early access means that you will see changes, you will see improvements over time, and you're kind of part of it. You also provide feedback. We have a way to report stuff. If you see something in the world that doesn't make sense, like a flying house somewhere, it can happen. We have a huge world,
Flying cows
and one
are
dude is
allowed.
doing yes, only flying cows. But a flying house that is not affected by a tornado, that shouldn't be there. So you will have a tool to report stuff like that if you see them.
Early access means that, like Mark was saying, we still consider this a viable product, but does not represent our current vision for the game, our complete vision for the game. We still consider the game as missing features, incomplete content, like as bugs, missing optimization. Does not like meet our targets for like quality and everything that we would like the game to be. But it enables us to get the games in the hands of gamers to help us improve the game, find more bugs, but also collect feedback. So we have our vision for a game, but by having additional feedback, obviously, like Mark and I and our community, we all like make the same games all the time that feedback is not always good. We get a lot of bad feedbacks, and developers, if you have any game developer that listen to your podcast, we've all been there receiving terrible feedback, but it's part of it.
As podcasters, we get terrible feedback sometimes too.
Everybody in the creative field receives terrible feedback. We all can relate to it, but it's part of being in the creative field.
Right.
If on 100 feedback you get just one good one, it's all worth it, and it's all been worth it. So it's also like receiving this from the community it helps us like getting this feedback loop and help us like orient the game into like iterating on our system, balancing the game, balancing the economy of the game. Like, is our points making too generous or too harsh? Is our pricing in the shop too generous or too harsh? And iterating on those systems, knowing what the people like about the game, so we can prioritize our development budget on this to give more to what the people like, and prioritize our efforts to what the people want a little bit more. So that's putting the game in the players' hand as soon as possible is also like a good way for us to know where to direct our priorities also.
And I think it's a very good extension of our transparency over time. We've always been very transparent with our development. So early access is kind of an extension to that, but now we let you guys play.
People have been waiting for Grand Theft Auto 6 for like a decade, and there's no Trello board to check in on them. So you guys have a leg up there.
And they have a team of hundreds,
right, exactly,
thousands of people working on it. So when you put things in perspective, and I don't blame anyone to not understand how a game is made, because you just buy a game and play it. That's what you know about it. But yeah, since we're going on the transparency road, then it also comes with explaining to everyone why it took so many time and what's coming and why are we going to keep developing this game and all of this. So even now, like, I can be 100% transparent. I'm now fully working on this game. It used to be a side thing, and now I'm fully committed to it. So
That's
you better
very
hope
cool.
I make it better.
Yeah, if you want to see Mark continue and have a job, you'll have to buy Outbreak coming out on June 28th. How did you decide now was the time to open the doors up for people to come into early access? Because I would imagine that's a little scary being a creative.
I've been working on game development for 12 years. That's my main job. So at some point, game has to release. Otherwise, we kind of fall off the market. Our technology becomes outdated. There is like an opportunity cost of not releasing a game. So our system are becoming mature. Our game is becoming stable. At some point, it's time to go for it. And putting a date kind of lock the gears of like all it's like there's a countdown and it has to land, and then it's shift gear. And we had always our internal timers of as soon as this system and this system land, then we can decide on a date. And then those system landed and we were like, okay, basically it was like our new weather system. It's like as soon as our weather system lands, we can start looking for a date. And then those system landed and our game started to be more stable. And we started to look for a date. We always had a little we always had a little window of dates in mind. But it was always kind of
It's also, as I said, research and development. So the
Yeah.
thing that we needed to be done in order for us to choose a date was something that doesn't exist anywhere else. So you can't just tell the programmers that did this with us, when is it going to be done? Because they don't know, they have to try. Sometimes it fails. Okay,
Yeah.
let's try something else. And at some point we got it.
Yeah.
So I'm probably for a year we thought we were like, okay, this is next month for sure.
Yeah.
And then, okay, 2 months pass by, more problems, more problems.
Yeah.
But that's why we never actually gave a date before it was actually true and it was time, you know? So it came with the reveal of this weather system. And actually since this video released, we've been improving the visuals of the clouds almost accidentally.
Yeah.
I do that sometimes. I just play with numbers, and by accident, I make everything look better. So it's very fortunate when that happens.
Any PC requirements people should be thinking about? Anything people should do to get their computers ready ahead of launch date?
We succeeded this weekend with the memory issue that we had. So it's you said it. We're in crunch mode. We're in the last mile here, and it feels like it because we're like checking boxes and it's almost game time. So, but yeah, I know that we're probably gonna say in 8 gigs of RAM as a minimum. We have a lot of games running under that, but I wanna be sure that no one crashes. And as far as anything else is concerned, we're not exactly like I don't have like the exact numbers yet, but it's probably going to be around in the 10 series for the GPU and CPU. I don't even know what to say, David.
We have one tester that has a 1660 super that can run the game okay. Good 30 FPS with the correct settings. We have to be sure that like all the games released their min spec with at low setting, expect that kind of FPS and do the grid and everything, produce that asset. We have to do our homework and produce this kind of grid. But we have a bunch of testers that have kind of lower end PCs that are able to run the game and have correct experience without going too aggressive in the lower settings. So we expect to be able to hit a little bit on the lower, even lower than this GPUs. So but we have to be able to find someone with that GPU and have them go into bad weather to be able to be like, all right, let's announce this GPU as our and
Battle
low end.
tested.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, June the 28th is the date. If anybody has a low end or a high end PC and they want to battle test it here in your virtual world, I know I've talked a little bit about how people can get it, but I should defer to you guys. What is your sales pitch you'd like to end the conversation on tonight?
Of course, you can get the game on Steam. You can wishlist it. Wishlisting the game on Steam is the best thing you can do right now to help us. It's help us to break through the algorithm to help us grow into the most upcoming games that are on
Popular games,
different
basically.
categories. Yeah. So if we can reach more gamers, get people interested into weather, get people because obviously since our game is very, very accurate, it can be served for education, get more people interested in meteorology, get more people into science, and something that we put a lot of care on all throughout development is to something we didn't touch a lot during this little chat, but all the game system in the game that makes you gain point and progress. We put a lot of care into encouraging safe behaviors by like if you want to min-max your point and be very good at Outbreak, it's gonna make you adopt safe behaviors. So even the people that are learning weather through playing Outbreak will kind of not learn bad, reckless behavior going through that. So just getting the game out there will hopefully, finger crossed, promote safe chasing, get people into weather, get people into science fields.
Yeah, because that's been a pretty good concern for us, especially me, because I've been storm chasing for a long time now. I even have white hair starting the show.
So I have to keep shaving mine down.
Yeah. That's what we're seeing in the recent years. There's a lot more storm chasers, and there's a lot more problems with convergence and traffic. And every year I'm like, somebody's gonna get killed, and you don't want that. And so it was for us a little bit of a, are we gonna get hate or whatever because we're promoting storm chasing even more to young people? But that's why we decided to promote very much safe behavior that doesn't make it less fun. So you have your risk versus reward thing with the probe, but it's like everybody's gonna jump in a game and try to get picked up by a tornado. That's probably what everyone's going to do in their first game because they want to see what happens, But after one or two times, they're going to be, well, this doesn't give me any points. I just died and I have to start over.
Yeah.
So, and everything else, like the way you make points, you don't have to be like next to it and about to die, So yeah, that's
taking pictures, sending in reports, probe data. Am I missing anything?
Yeah,
that's
you got it right.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And for the sales pitch part, the other thing that I would say probably is, again, I've been storm chasing a lot, and I've seen people play the game because we have a bunch of testers. We have some that have no knowledge about like forecasting stuff and even nowcasting stuff, like weather stuff. And we have some people that actually have a lot of knowledge. And seeing the dynamic between people and like someone explaining, okay, we have a guy that just looks at the weather maps and he's like, okay, there's Cape here, but the wind shear is better there. So I think we should pick this storm. And he explains it to the other player, and I'm like, I'm just watching, and whatever was supposed to happen from the conditions that he saw happened, and he was able to teach something to someone with that. So to me, it's incredible, and it means that I've succeeded in doing what I've always wanted to have in my hands, is a realistic storm chasing experience where you can actually chase. I mean, every chaser had this very classic experience where you have two storms, one north, one south, two targets, and you have to pick one. So then you start picking the north one, but then the south one starts to spin. So you just, okay, let's turn around. I'm going to go south. And by the time you do that, the north one starts to spin, and you're just stuck in between, and you miss both tornadoes because both storm produced. I've seen testers do that, and I was like, this is storm chasing. This is perfect.
Yeah, it's like driving on the highway. You got two lanes, and you're constantly changing
Yep.
lanes, but neither is going any faster. You're not getting, the result is
Yep.
not there.
Yep.
But you're right. You're right, Mark. It's going to be entertaining and informative. Let me end on this note, if I may. You guys are the world experts on playing this game right now, and we'll see if in short time somebody ousts you at your own game. But let me ask you, is there a developer's secret tip to mastering this game? If there was one thing you were like, everyone should try, what would that be?
We get our ass kicked by our testers by a mile. Our testers
Yeah.
are
So it's already happened. You're already getting your butt
so
kicked.
much better than us.
We have some people that are very good at min-maxing points, you know?
Okay.
So they're gonna find like the perfect angle for the
Yeah.
probe and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So
Probe is very
Like-
good. If I can give one very good tip is don't sleep on the reports. Reports are very good to make points.
very important,
so,
yeah.
Reports
Oh.
are pretty good.
And one trick that you can actually use in real life when you have a tornado in front of you, even if you're not a storm chaser and you just happen to have a tornado coming at your house and you're scared, you don't know if it's coming to you, you just look at it, and if it's going left or right, then it's probably not coming over you. But if it's not moving anyway, then it's probably coming directly from you. So you can
That's right.
use that trick when placing your probe. And I see testers doing it. They're like, okay, let's stop here and watch. It's moving a little bit to the right. Let's go north a little bit more. So they just keep going. So that would be my my pro tip.
Put the probe down and then get out.
Yeah. and then get
Yes.
out.
Well, Mark and David, we're very much looking forward to playing Outbreak when it releases in early access on Steam, June the 28th, just about 2 weeks after this podcast is coming out. And I wish you guys the best of luck. Thank you again for making time for us here in the Carolina Weather Group while you're in crunch time.
Hell
Thank
yeah.
you for having us.
Thanks.
Perfect.